Hello, everybody. This is Tammy, Tap Desktop Publishing, and thank you for joining us. I am here with my good friend, Dustin Coach Red Wallace. He is a mindset and business coach for creatives. And tonight we're here to talk about mindset, not only how it affects you in your online business, in business in general, but personally too, because of course it's going to. Our thoughts generally control our actions. And I wanted to use this opportunity tonight as well to relaunch my Facebook Live training. And the biggest thing that people talk about when you're starting out in an online business is your mindset and controlling your thoughts, learning tips to help you manage. And so that's why I wanted to have my friend Dustin here to share his knowledge, his experience, and his insight on how important mindset is and offer us some tips to help us out. So, Dustin, thank you for being here. And why don't you introduce yourself as well?
For sure, man. Tammy, thank you so much for having me. I'm so blessed to be here, and I'm excited
Oh,
to just kind of dive in a little bit about mindset and how obviously that is the foundation for everything in life.
absolutely.
Next to Jesus, I say it would be Jesus and then your mindset if I had to say anything else on that. But it really is because how you see your world creates your world. And underneath that, how you speak your world is how you're going to see your world. And it's really crazy. We get so sucked into this idea of life is our circumstances. And the truth is, we truly have the ability to change our lives. And it starts with the thing between our ears. And a lot of us don't realize that. But to kind of introduce myself, I guess, because I'm jumping ahead, I'm going right into the content. But
No, that's great. That's
but
great.
my name's Red Wallace. Everybody knows me as Red. Most people know me as Red, and I'm just super passionate about people that identify as creatives because I myself, I've had a 10-year rap career. I'm currently a worship drummer. I was a video editor for 4 years for this successful, like, she was like a life coach for like biblical based life coach kind
Oh,
of thing. But
wow.
she had a YouTube channel, which I just saw her YouTube channel has like 250,000 subscribers now. So kudos to her.
Wow.
Shout out to her. I remember when we just passed the 100K mark when I was working there, and we got I think towards the 150K before I left. But man, it's cool to see her still going strong. But yeah, so I say that I don't say that lightly. I know what it's like to be a creative person and to be in a space where you're working a job that's creative, but
Yes.
you get into these ruts of like really wanting more. And it sounds like you've got a group full of people that are always wanting, because I mean we've been given these desires, and desires aren't bad, and I mean
Right.
selfish ambitions definitely are bad, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I truly believe that we've been giving this God purpose and this calling on our lives, and it's finding that and finding our true self. That's what's really going to set us apart, and you're not going to find that if you don't get your thinking right.
True.
But one of the questions you sent me was you just kind of asked how important mindset is to building a,
Yes.
a business. Is that right? So and again, it goes back to how you see the world will determine how you speak, what you create in your world. And it just goes back to that idea. I heard it said, I think they say it was Benjamin Franklin, but don't quote me on who said it, but I
Okay.
definitely remember the quote. And the quote is, people die at 24, but they're buried at 75 or later. And it's that idea
Oh,
of
wow.
a lot of people stop growing and stop dreaming like once they hit a certain level. It's like we get pushed this
Yes.
American dream, and the American dream is, you have a wife and 2.5 kids and you've made it. And it's almost like game over, but what about like the life after that? And I really believe that we should like fix our thinking there, because the finish line is actually death. And it sounds a bit morbid, but if you think of the idea that like we think of the finish line as the goal that we set, but truly the finish line for our life is when we finish life. And we should always have this idea of becoming better than best, because there's no real ceiling. Because if we're always growing, then we're always going to go to that next level. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping people get over that fixed mindset, because it's
Yes. 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 Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go
no, no,
ahead.
no. No. Go ahead. If you want to interrupt, I'm totally fine with that. But it's
No.
that idea of, yeah, it's that we get so tied into that fixed mindset. And there was something I was listening to recently, and there's a great book by Carol Dweck called Mindset, and I highly recommend that if you haven't read that. But one of the things that she mentions is there's four pillars of a growth mindset. And those four pillars are: they embrace challenges, they're persistent, they reframing failures, and they have a love of learning. And I think it's so important for us to realize that we may have grown up in environments that have taught us that
Yes.
having a fixed mindset is the only way to be. And that's what I think is so interesting, even with the idea of calling someone a creative, because there's a lot of people that get this misinterpretation, this misconception even, that only creatives are those people that can play music, or those people that can paint really well or
Artist.
take photos.
Yes.
But I believe, I love the way my friend put it. He said that creativity is simply problem solving. And I love that idea, because it's like at its
That's
core,
smart.
at its core, that's what creativity is you are finding a way to solve a problem. And it's wild to think of it that way, but I truly believe that everybody is creative. The only difference is we haven't cultivated that creativity in our own way. Because it's like you said, it's not just artists, it's not just people that can sing well, but I see a scientist that discovers like the cure for cancer. That's creativity. Or someone that's able to really build something amazing with their hands. That's creativity. So it's getting past that idea that I am as far as I'm going to go. And it's almost like we get into that idea. Once you graduate college, you graduate high school, a lot of people think learning stops. And the truth is, if we're not learning, we're not growing. And if we're not growing, we're dying. And I don't know about you, but
Absolutely.
I don't want to die. I want to live till I'm 120 or more.
Absolutely. And you talk about that fixed mindset, Dustin. We, so many of us have been programmed in a sense and have grown up that, you go to school, you go to college, you get married, you have a family, you buy a house, and you're supposed to do this, this, and this. And people don't, some people don't think beyond that, so you're exactly right. It's all about developing a growth mindset. And I believe there's so many people out there still to this day that don't even think about that. I mean, I've been in work environments where so many people around me were just satisfied with the status quo. And let me ask you, what do you think it is that triggers people to develop that growth mindset? I'll just say it seems like the past couple of years, I've been more attentive to social media. And I'm going to be honest with everybody, I'm not a huge social media fan because I like the peace and I like to just feel and be. But when you're in social media, you're watching it and now becoming a part of it, it seems as though that spurs that growth mindset. What do you think gets people to think about developing a growth mindset or triggers a growth mindset to help them get out of their rut or fixed mindset?
I would say exposure. And I love it. I think it was TD Jakes. He has a book about it. But I would say it's exposure, because if you, for instance, before social media, and you think of, okay, say you grew up in a really small town, and you
Yep.
were only exposed to so much, and you get to this small town mentality. We like to coin it here in Texas. The further you
Yes.
get south, there's a ton of little tiny towns, and we even have that coin, that phrase of small town mentality. And if you're not careful, you almost want to take that mentality once you've been exposed to a big city. But it's when you get exposed to that, you're like, you mean there's more out there? And I look at it even from a faith
Yes.
standpoint, is when you've came in contact with the creator of the universe, the God that's created everything, when you've seen how he's created us so uniquely creative to do all these crazy things, really impossible is nothing in his eyes, because we get so
Absolutely.
limited, and we get so focused on like the littlest of things. But when we get exposed to greater things, when we get surrounded by people that are living lives that we dream of, that's when I think that sparks that growth mindset. And the second tier of that would be the proximity of it, is you can't just get exposed to it, you have to get close to it. I think being connected to a church and serving, one of my favorite things is
Yes.
I get to be in the green room because I play drums. So I'm able to be in the green room, which is backstage, and I have like direct access to our senior pastor, and just being able to be in that room, like, I'm so grateful for those moments, because it's like I'm in proximity to someone who has this huge vision, this huge plan, and just being
Yes.
around that continuously from a close level, like a tight knit level, it's just
Yes.
like, wow. It's like, what amazing things can I do by seeing what's already been done. And yeah, I would definitely say that exposure and then the proximity of it is what I think would be what sparks that growth mindset in us.
I agree with you. And I think that people have to challenge themselves, push themselves a little to step into it, step
For
out
sure.
into it. Um, that's, yeah, having a growth mindset is huge. It just in life in general, and folks who are inside my group, maybe watching this on Facebook, um, you have to step out into it. You have to take a chance. You have to challenge yourself if you're ever going to move forward. Excellent. Let me ask you, Dustin, um, how have you personally planned for a challenging goal you have set? And I'm asking this so that those who are still fearful to jump into this social media online space, who want to start a business but are just fearful, tell them how you have planned for such a challenge. I mean, you're challenging yourself, stepping out into social media, creating your business.
I would say I go back to the quote. I'm probably sure you listening have heard it, but how do you eat an elephant? And it's one bite at a
Yes.
time. And
Yes.
it's
Perfect.
really that simple. It's we start with the impossible goal. Like that's even how I treat it with my clients. It's like one of the first few things I ask them is like where they see themselves 3 years down the road, or I ask them like literally flat out, what is their impossible goal? We start there. We see what we see the huge picture, and I almost look at it too. It's like, say you're looking at a beautiful painting, maybe like
Yep.
a Picasso or something like that, and you get the full scope of it, and all together it's amazing. But if you got really close into the details, it's a lot of just little tiny lines and little bitty strokes that make this huge thing. And I ask you listening at home, what can you do to get you 1% closer? Because that's really all it takes. If you can be one step closer to achieving that goal, that's really when you start grasping the fact that you can get there. Because again, there's no finish lines. The results are actually the continual process and progress. And I really feel like we've got to move our destination point. And I said that earlier, but it's really like when we realize that the destination point isn't the goal. And a lot of times we don't really want to achieve the goal. We want to achieve the feelings that are attached to the goal. And it's when we grasp those two things, that's what's really going to get us on the right track and getting close to those impossible goals that we may have.
That's a perfect analogy, and I'm gonna remember that, the lines in the painting and the 1% each day. And I've told people, because I'm big on preaching avoiding burnout, so I tell people, do what you can, do one thing each day, because when you jump into this online space, there's a lot of talk about hustle, 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 and you can easily burn yourself out. So I love that approach, the 1% each day. Do what you can do, one step at a time. That's very good advice, and that's what I personally preach. Love it, love it.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned the burnout piece because again, that's a
Yes, it's
huge
huge.
thing. That's a huge thing that I help my clients with. And the key is, and I look at from my own experience, is I realized I was at the deepest depths of burnout too late. Because a lot of times, the time you realize you're burnt out is when you're overwhelmed, you're overworked. But the biggest thing is we start doing the things that don't fulfill us. Period. And I believe that yeah, you can hustle and you can grind, but when you're doing the things that come effortless to you, when you're in your zone of genius, not just your zone of excellence. And
Yes,
I could cover that in a minute, but when you're truly in that space that this is who you were created to be and do,
yes,
that's when you're not going to get burnt out. Because you're getting burnt out because you're unfulfilled, because you've probably started forgetting about taking care of yourself. You probably started forgetting about the little things. And that's the one practical thing for you listening. If you're listening or watching this and you are
yes.
burnt out, you've got to schedule rest in your schedule. Because if you don't schedule rest, it won't get done. And oh man, I love the quote. I heard it said that so Sabbath is in our faith the day of rest. And
Yes.
if you don't schedule Sabbath, it will either find you in delight or discipline. Meaning that when you schedule Sabbath and you schedule rest, you delight in it. You look forward to it. But on the
Yeah.
flip side, it becomes discipline in the form of pain or sickness because our bodies, a lot of times when we get sick, is really just symptoms to the main cause. And a lot of times the main cause is we're not sleeping. We're not doing those things that fulfill us. But man, I could get so, I could go in deep on
I
some burnout.
I love that. I love that. And you and I were in a coaching program together, and I was going through my first round of burnout when I was coaching, when we were in that program.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you happened to be on the call one day, but we're on our Zoom and everybody's there watching, we're asking questions, and I just lost it. I just started bawling and crying. And our coach, I'm sure you
Yeah, I remember
recall,
that.
and yeah, he said, Tammy, stop everything you're doing. He said, back off, take a rest, just shut down for a while. And we're taught when we jump into this online business, online marketing, go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle as much as you can, grind it out. And when you're doing, 3 to 4 masterminds a week and you're trying to create videos and static content and emails and all of this, we've still got lives running in the background over
Yeah.
here. We still have, kids and appointments and all this. Somehow we have to find a balance. And
Yeah.
like you said, it's got to be something you're going to know if it's meant for you by if you're getting burnt out or if you're being fulfilled from it. And you recently posted, I mentioned this earlier, you recently posted a video on TikTok about finding your path. And I say that because that just spoke volumes to me, Dustin. Um, because I see so many brand new affiliate marketers quit, after 6 months or after a year, oh, I haven't made the money I thought I would or that they said I would. You know, Learning those skills is very valuable. But I want everybody to know you don't have to stay in that affiliate marketing arena forever. Those skills are transferable and you can apply them to other niches that are more important to you, that you have more of a passion for, you're more knowledgeable about, and just feels right to you. So, and I've had people say, well, I don't want to promote that training program, or, I'm not a salesman. That's okay. It's like you go to school, you learn these skills, and you're going to go out there in the world and apply them to what you're passionate about. So I love that, you had posted that video, find your path, because when you do, folks, that's when you're really going to start feeling fulfilled and you're growing and you're going to find your tribe. So that was huge. And I'm so glad you posted that. And that's why I love your content, Dustin. It truly speaks to me. And for those of you watching on Facebook, give Dustin a follow. Give Dustin a follow. It's more than just about mindset for your business. It's life in general. It's very helpful. It's been very helpful to me.
I appreciate that, Tammy.
Sincerely.
I appreciate that.
I'm so glad I met you in the program. Okay, got another question for you.
Likewise.
Oh, thank you.
But before the question, I do want to, if I can add something to that.
Absolutely.
Not even to take that a step deeper in passion. It's even more so, more than what you're passionate about. Find what you're called to do. And I know that's kind of a term that some people that might not be in the church world and the Christian world may understand, but we literally have been created for a purpose. You are going to impact somebody that I can't impact. You are going to impact somebody that Tammy can't impact. And I've said it before, and a lot of people in the affiliate marketed space, they get sucked into the gimmick of getting rich overnight. And don't get me wrong, wealth is amazing. Yes, it is important. It is important that we need money to survive, obviously. Yes. And I believe that even God has given us the opportunity to be great stewards of that money. But more so than the money, if that's what you're chasing, then you're never going to be fulfilled, because there's never going to be a dollar amount that's going to fulfill your soul calling. And I might be going at it a little too hard.
I love it. Be bold and proud.
But it's so true. It's like if you were chasing the money, then you were never going to be fulfilled. Now, if you were chasing the impact, the income will follow. And it's just like Tammy said, I had a few months in affiliate marketing, and it definitely wasn't for me, but that's okay, because what I learned was a few things that I'm applying today to my business. I learned a little bit more about email marketing. I learned a little bit more about sales, which is very important aspects of life, because those are key skills. And I even heard, it was kind of like what Tony Robbins was saying recently, and some things that I saw is like, a lot of people are fearing the doom and gloom of this recession that we're in.
Yes.
And I love the way he put it. He put it as there's seasons. And this is metaphorically like a winter. And it's in winter that you can choose either to freeze to death, or you can choose to grow a community and survive and thrive. And the big thing he was mentioning there is like, we're in a space where labor and using, like, working with your hands and stuff, that's getting more and more outdated. But it's getting these hard skills that are like mental skills, these high income, high level skills. That's what's going to be a necessity. Like having a growth mindset, that's what's going to be a necessity. See, Chat GPT, AI, they can't manufacture this human element of the connections that we're having. Like, yes, those things are great, but they're going to replace a lot of jobs that don't take a higher level of thinking and a higher level of of compassion and emotional intelligence even. But sorry for the tangent. I just felt like it was
No, I
necessary.
love that. I appreciate you. That's why I asked you to be on tonight, because you offer so much more to the subject here. And Tiffany said, "Ooh, that gave me chills. We want to achieve the feelings attached to the goal." Good stuff. Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
true. That's true. And I'm so glad you mentioned the GPT, isn't
Yeah.
it? Okay. Yeah. I learned about that a few weeks ago. And, I tried it out and saw what it could do. But then a week later, I read an article on how it was altering what someone wrote with a different meaning.
Mm.
And I decided myself that if I'm going to make an impact, I want it to be totally authentically me. Yes, the AI, the what do you say? Artificial
Yeah,
intelligence
artificial intelligence.
generated content is quick and it'll help you get things done, but it's artificial. It's not you.
So true.
Okay. And people follow you for you. It's like they say, people don't buy from companies, they buy from people,
Yeah. Know,
So
like, and trust.
I love that you brought that up. I love it.
For
So
sure.
thanks
For
for being
sure.
here, Tiff. Um, all right. Question. Have you ever received negative feedback online? And if so, how have you handled it?
Man, I love this question. I would say rejection is a part of life, and we must detach from the emotions that are tied to the rejection
That's
because
hard.
it's so hard.
That's
And
hard.
and a lot of times, and to I'll go a couple ways, but the first way meaning obviously putting yourself out there online. There's a lot of you're gonna catch a lot of hate, and if you're doing it in a way that's actually meaningful and you're passionate about something and you're making an
Yeah.
impact, you got to expect to have haters because it's what is this statistic? It's like 10% of people, no matter what you do, won't like you. And so many times we're focused on that 10% of people when
Right.
instead, if we'd focus on the 90 that love us, that are all for us,
Yeah.
then we often lose sight. And it's like we could have
It's
a
a good
thousand.
ratio.
Yeah, yeah. We could see like 1,000 comments and they're all like, "Wow, that was so powerful. That was so meaningful." And then one person, a handful of people out of that 1,000 say something like, "You should clean your face." Like these are real comments that I've experienced myself.
No.
Did I notice a lisp in there? I think I did. And like you start hearing those things and
Seriously?
you
Oh,
see those comments, and for whatever reason, you notice something too. And another friend of mine mentioned it this way. So many times when we're criticizing something, we're
yeah.
very specific. But when we're praising something and complimenting something, we're super vague. A lot of times we're just like, for instance, you see someone and you're like, "Oh, you look nice today." But if
Yes.
you were to come up to them and be like, "You have a fray in your shirt," or like something like you notice, like we're very specific about the criticism and
Yes.
very vague when it comes to the compliments. And the way that my friend put it, and I've been totally trying to do this myself and implementing it in my life, is being specific in the compliments. And I was like,
That's
man,
good.
that's such a way. And then again, it goes back to, like you mentioned, handling that negative feedback. Like, what if we chose to see what good was in the negative feedback, what could be learned from it, but ultimately, how can we ourselves, when we're giving feedback to others and we're giving positive feedback, how much more so can we be more specific in our encouragement? And another thing
I
too, to
like
go down to that idea of rejection, especially those in business and in sales, like you were going to be in a sea of no's to get the handful of yeses. And one of the ways that I put it is, instead of seeing it as a negative, see no as an acronym of next one. because the next one could be your
I like
yes.
it.
And that's the biggest thing for me is like it takes 1,000 no's to get to the one yes you're looking for. And especially the more so the bigger, the more expensive your product might be, the more you got to realize that there's a lot of people out there that aren't going to be the right fit. And a lot of
Exactly.
times,
Exactly.
rejection, a lot of times that closed door is not negative. It's actually protection. Because what if you were to get a yes from someone that's not the right fit for what you're going after? And what
That's
if that
a great
no is
point.
actually for you, not against you?
That's a very good point because I've learned and I tell people, this online affiliate marketing, digital marketing isn't for everyone. Everyone, I say everyone, they want to learn how to make money from home. But some people just want a hobby. They're happy with maybe extra $100 a week or, a few hundred extra bucks a month. And if that's what you want, that's fine. That's fine. Then there are some people who want to do, the $20,000 months. So, and that's fine too. And I lost my train of thought with that one, where you were going with that one, but it's not for everyone.
For sure. For sure. It's
Yeah.
definitely not for everyone.
All right.
You had more questions for me, I'm sure.
I do. I do.
I
All
love it.
right.
I love great
Okay.
questions. It's so fun to be in the hot seat this time because so many times I'm the one asking all the questions. So you
Yeah.
you really
Better
you
you
really
than
got me on
me.
my toes. You really got me on my toes this time.
Good. 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 Um, so Dustin, if I've got, like I mentioned earlier, I've got affiliate marketers out there who say, I haven't made, any money, in the 6 months that I've been in it or even the year. So if someone is struggling, whether it's affiliate marketing or a branding coach or any kind of online marketing, if they're struggling, what's the first thing that you would suggest that they do to change it up?
I would say it obviously starts with shifting your mindset. And
Bingo.
I would get a coach or a mentor or surround yourself with the right community that's going to shift you into that. But also, it's as small as kind of going back to the basics. Like I would write down on a sheet of paper because there's the high income task and the
Yes.
income generating task, and then there's just the mundane stuff that's not moving the needle to actually get those results. I would
Right.
make a list and see where your time's going because you should spend at least 70% of your time on the things that are actually going to push you towards getting those goals, because so many times we get stuck in doing the nonsense. We're having the conversations that aren't leading anywhere. We're mindlessly scrolling social media instead of generating content. We're just
Okay.
consuming it. And also, too, we can get stuck in these learning cycles. Like I mentioned earlier, how one of the main pillars of growth mindset is a love of learning. But I would take it to a step further and say it's a love of learning and then application, because that's been a big thing for me is because
Yes.
we can get stuck in these cycles of learning and not doing. And I would really just ask yourself and those listening that are struggling to get their online business started or whatever it may be, really sit down and think about the why behind it, obviously, because a lot of
Yes.
times we get stuck in the how and the logistics of it. But also I would see where you're spending your time, because time is just like money, because also it would be where are you spending your money, because if you're not investing it back into your growth and to get you forward, then it's not going to get you anywhere. Because if you're just spending all your time doing bare minimum, if that, you're watching Netflix, you're binging all the time, you're just doing the things that aren't taking care
Yes.
of yourself, it's really going to, it's just gonna weigh you down. And also, a sidebar is like if you don't have that daily routine that's taking care of you, and it goes back to the burnout piece, is because for
Right.
me, I was in this space where I just literally got into like this loop where I was just stuck. I wasn't going anywhere in any areas of my life. And what threw me out of that was a friend of mine, or I think I might have heard a podcast or something that suggested take a cold shower. And I was like, what? That's
Yes.
crazy. And it sounds so silly. And you hear them all the time. And especially if
Yes.
you're in this space, you
I
hear
heard that a
things
lot.
like, take a cold shower, eat the right foods, move your body. But guess what? If you do those things, the not sexy things, and you do them daily, you will
Yes.
get the success you're looking for. And I think that's the hardest thing for people to do is stay consistent in doing the things that aren't pretty, that don't show you the beautiful things right away. And it's staying consistent in the mundane that will really get you to that next level.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you provided those specific tips. And I'll tell you, mindlessly scrolling is one of the hugest time wasters. And I've really turned that around for myself. I mean, yes, you want to support all your friends out there who are online as well, and you want to comment and encourage and support, but you have to weigh everything. The mindless scrolling, it really has to stop. And you need to work on those activities that are going to draw the people in so you can have an impact on them that is going to generate activities that are going to generate revenue. So think about it. And when you're posting, is there some kind of way that you're inviting them in, getting them to opt in? So yeah, those are good points. And taking care of yourself, that's huge. And I once said the two things I won't sacrifice are sleep and my workout. And those are huge. Like you said, those simple routine things are what's going to carry you. What's going to carry you. So very, very good specific tips there. Okay. Dustin, who inspires you? I have an idea.
You have an idea.
Yeah.
A few people.
Okay, good.
For sure. I mean, honestly, it's really an easy answer for me. Obviously, Jesus Christ. Like,
Yes.
he is the example
Yeah.
of what it is, what we should aspire to live our lives
Yes.
like. And I know for some that's touchy, but it's the simple truth. Like, he is fully God and fully man, and he
Yes,
came
sir.
down on this earth. And like, oh man, and we're watching. So those of you that don't know about The Chosen is like not your average corny Christian movie. Like, this is like Hollywood's adaptation of the Bible, and to the greatest extent. Like, I love watching it because it's so well done. But if that's an easy way to get into kind of understanding who Jesus is, but ultimately, like, man, I would not be the man I am today without Jesus and my knowledge of him and my relationship with him. And oh man, I could go on forever. But aside from him, I mean, I do have a few other inspirations. Like, I would say too, my clients inspire me, because that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize. And some coaches that may be listening to this is sometimes we get into a space of we're almost so far ahead of the person that we're helping. But I get inspired by the people that I'm able to help because they're doing amazing things.
Yes.
And a few other people, like there's a guy named Rick Rubin, and he's really involved in the creative space, and he's super interesting. And just the way that he thinks about life and creativity is super inspiring to me. And then of course, I mentioned earlier being like really close to my pastors. I mean, my pastors, Brian and Crystal Sparks, like they're like spiritual parents for me. But I mean, those are some of the other people that have really inspired me. But even in the business space, I mean, I find inspiration in a lot of places. So honestly, to answer that question, I could go on forever because there's so many people to glean from when it comes to life in general.
I agree with you. And I'll tell you, I'm in the Roadmap to Success Mastermind with Eric Forner. I think you know who
Yeah, I
Eric is.
know Eric.
Um, yeah. And so many new people have joined the program. It's huge now. And some of us have been around for a while. But I will tell you, I get inspired by these brand new students coming in because they will come up with ideas that I haven't heard from anyone else in the past year and a half. And their excitement inspires me. I mean, there have been days where it's like, oh, there's a mastermind tonight, you know, you got 3 a week. Sometimes you get a little
For
tired.
sure.
So, but then I'll get on or I'll listen to the replay and I'm like, wow, they're because it's so new to them, the excitement that they bring, it inspires me. So yes, I agree with you. You can glean inspiration from people or things all around you. Yeah.
What do you
So
think it is about them that inspires you?
their excitement and their willingness to share their ideas, their suggestions. And I'm finding that a lot of these newer people coming in, they're not as timid about speaking up and, spouting their ideas. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is. I mean, because after you've been in it for a while, you can start to think you know everything,
Exactly. Yeah.
but it's honestly constantly evolving. And God bless Eric and his team. He's constantly adding to our training new things. I mean, of course, I support the program, but this program like covers so much, and he keeps adding. So he's doing a phenomenal job. Um, and these new people coming in, just the excitement. It's refreshing. And it gets me excited again. Like I said, I might go into a mastermind a little tired, and then they're sharing their ideas and their boldness. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, you know? So love that. So,
Yeah, I love that too. For me, with that, I think it's a great reminder of a couple things. It's a reminder of forever being a student because it's like you said, it's so
yeah,
easy to get into the space of I have arrived. And it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. There is no finish line in this life. Like,
yes,
we want results and we get progress and we go steps further, but essentially the destination is death. And it's the journey,
right, right.
it's the continual growing and learning that we're not finished. And it's a good thing, and it should like encourage us to keep going, but two, it's also they're so fresh with their why. And it's
Yes,
like so easy for us the longer we get into this, the more numb we get to it. And it's
yes.
like to give a great example, like I mean, I play drums for my church, so I'm like one of the main drummers, so I'm there so many Sundays, so many events. And
Yes.
we had a guy come on recently that just started playing with us, and he talked about getting nervous before a Sunday. And I thought it was so sweet, but also at the same time I was like, man, when was the last time I got nervous before I went on? And it really was a cool, interesting thing because it wasn't like full on nervous. It was just like that giddy energy of like something new and exciting.
Yes.
And it was like never grow numb to the fact that you get to do this. And that's what I always try to remind myself. It's like I
Yes.
get to do this. I don't have to do this. I wake up and I get to help people. I get to serve
That's
people.
great
and it's
perspective.
and it's when you have that perspective, then it's that refresher because I mean you will wake up, and I feel like it's the why will get you past motivation because people are always searching for, oh, I need more motivation. You don't need motivation. You need to tap into what inspired you to get started in the first place, because it's
Yes.
the discipline that's going to get you past when you don't feel like it. But the discipline's
It.
not going to matter if you don't have a why attached to it.
That's it. And I preach to that. I mean, motivation is great, and we all need encouragement daily, but discipline is greater than the motivation. And I think if you start out that discipline with taking care of yourself first, once you're good,
Yeah.
your sleep, your nutrition, your workout, your prayer, whatever it is, fill your cup first. And a lot of
Yeah.
people think it's selfish, but you need to um, take care of yourself first, discipline yourself because you are worth it. And that discipline is going to carry you. It's going to carry you and help make you successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Dustin, this has been a delight. I am so glad to have you here, and I appreciate Tiffany who jumped in the live. And
Sure.
perhaps there's more watching the
Yeah,
Facebook Live on
there's
Facebook.
a couple on mine on Instagram.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, I see a guy from my church. He was like,
Oh,
he
nice.
said the best drummer. I appreciate it, Steve.
Oh, that's sweet.
He's really the MVP. He's our lights guy, and I mean, like he crushes it with the lighting, like every Sunday. So it's cool to see that
That's an important
he hopped
job.
on. Yeah, it was so cool. But I
I
always tell
once
him, I'm like, he's the real MVP.
That's an
But
important job. I once had the opportunity. I was asked, to join the media team at church, and I'm like, you want me to post, the words up there at the right time?
yes,
What
the
if
pro
I
presenter. Yeah.
mess up? That's
Oh
huge. Or
man.
people are singing,
Yeah.
and it's blank, and they're
Yeah.
just,
They're we're waiting for the next lyrics.
yes,
please
yes. You
please
just
send them. Oh man, that's so
Yes,
funny.
I was so fearful of that. So, but anyway, so Dustin, oh, Tiffany says, thank you for the golden nuggets. So much love. Thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate you. She's inside my group and just
Love it.
recently launched her online affiliate marketing business,
Nice.
Sweet Gal. And Dustin, I'm interested. You mentioned a training that you were jumping into, and that someone told you to niche down. See, I think there's something going on here for me because catching that TikTok video, I mentioned this at the beginning, where you said people need to find their path,
Yeah.
and talking about niching down. I'm there. I'm thinking I'm there, and I'm getting a lot of messages about that. So you have no idea how much you're helping me personally.
I love it.
And I appreciate you, what you're doing for people out there. Folks who are watching, I've had 2 coaching sessions with Dustin, and he's really helped me a lot. Give him a follow, seek him out as you need. And I am so grateful that you took time to be here in my Facebook group, um, to share your insight, your experience. Um, I loved all of it, and I appreciate you, and I hope you can come back another time. Um, where can people find you on social media? I see you've got a tag name up there.
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at coach.redwallace. And then, yeah, from there you'll see a couple of my other links. But on those 2 sites, also YouTube, I have a YouTube
Yes,
Better Than Best Academy on
love
YouTube.
it.
And I do weekly podcasts where I'm just interviewing creative people. Sometimes it's live coaching. I recently
Yeah.
posted one with you, actually.
Yes.
For I'm sure some of your people
Yeah.
might have seen that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where you can find me, and don't hesitate to reach out to me. My DMs are open, and
Love it.
I'm more than happy to help you and see if there's any way that I can. If I can't coach you, I'm sure I can steer you in the right direction because I have a network of friends and mentors of myself that can definitely help you in whatever area you're looking to get unstuck
Awesome.
or beating your
Awesome.
burnout or whatever that may be.
Yes. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I subscribe to your YouTube podcast, and I just listened to the one with, I forgot his name, the hockey player.
Oh
That was
yeah,
good.
Michael. Yeah.
I thought it was Mike. Yeah,
Yeah, Mike.
that was really good. I really love that one. So everyone, look for Dustin on social media. Very helpful, very wise. A growing a growing business you have. Keep us updated
For
on
sure.
the baby coming soon.
For
He's got
sure.
his second child on the way.
Next
Um,
week.
yes, yes.
Ooh,
So
it's
thank you that you
exciting.
made time for me.
For sure.
I appreciate you. I hope to have you back sometime. And this was a blessing. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
Anything,
It was so great.
you're welcome. Any parting words for the group out here?
Jesus is everything. Mindset is second.
Amen.
But
Amen.
yeah, seriously, like for you listening at home, I love to remind people of this, that you are already enough. You are already loved. And it's from those two things that you can create whatever you want to do in this life.
Love it.
That's all I got.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I know we're wrapping it up here. I remember you said to me last time we talked, the two things you ask yourself each day.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Do you want to
They're
share them?
they're three now, but
Oh,
but
okay.
it will
Three.
stay,
Go ahead.
it will stay at three. So I
Okay.
love to ask myself these three questions every day, and it really simplifies what I'm able to accomplish in the tasks that I put on. So the
Yes.
first question I ask myself is, who can I serve today? And that could be any level, from the person that I give a compliment when I go get my Starbucks, or it might be a coaching client that day, or a potential client, or even just a friend in need. And then the second thing I ask myself is, what did I learn today? So for me, that would be serve, grow. So serve, grow, create. That's the three words. And it's, who can I serve today? What did I learn today? And what can I create today? And when you've answered those three things, you're done.
Love it.
You've achieved all that you need to achieve for that day.
Yeah.
And when you can do those three things, you can flip over, close your book, wash your hands, you're all done. The sign language for all done is this. My 2-year-old learned that from a YouTube show. So you could be all done.
Love
And
it.
it's just that idea of, we overcomplicate things in life.
Yeah.
And the more simple we can make our life, the more effective we will make ourselves and the impact that we leave.
I love it.
So
And those three
serve, grow,
functions,
create.
yeah, that sums up a growth mindset. I love it. All right, Dustin, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you soon.
Peace.
Take care. Peace.